Hawaii, the state of clean energy. It must be Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. And here I am with my co-host, Ray Starling of Hawaii Energy, talking about energy. It could be the finest, avocation that you could ever have in the world, trying to make energy efficient, make clean energy across Hawaii in the 21st century. Wow, Ray, aren't we lucky guys?
Very lucky.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good to be with you today.
Yeah, the same here. And Brian Kealoha from OpTerra Energy Services, am I right?
You got it right.
So nice to meet you and say hi. And we're going to have a great discussion. And, you'll enjoy the part where Ray begins to cross-examine you later. No worries.
I'm looking forward to that.
And to start our substantive discussion, we have Derek Sonoda sitting there in the darkness behind the lights in the studio. There he is. Okay. So, Derek, you're giving us a challenge today.
Yeah, for the
talk
negawatt
about
moment.
ceiling fans and the negawatt moment. So tell us about ceiling fans, and then tell us about the challenge.
Well, what I wanted to talk about, the temperature has been really high lately, and boy has it been muggy. So we wanted to give the general audience some ammunition before they go out and purchase something, or before they reach over and push that AC button at their home. So what I want to talk to you about is some fan choices. A lot of people say, hey, fans are more efficient than air conditioning, you always do a fan. But what people don't realize is fans do cost money to run them. And I think you mentioned to me that you have a lot of fans. How many fans do you have at home?
Oh, I would say 6 or 8.
Just like my house, and we love fans. Hawaii loves fans. So if you can hold that picture up for us, I want to show the audience here about some fans. We're going to talk about the regular fans that we all see. So, yeah, on one side of this page, you're going to see a whole set of household fans. And these are fans that you can find in a lot of Hawaii stores. Every single one of them you can find here, and they're very popular. So what I'm going to challenge this group here that's up here for us is to help pick, if they were going to buy a fan, which style of fan. Now, we're not talking about the ceiling fans yet. Household fans, would they buy if they wanted to be cool and not spend a lot of money on electricity?
Okay, so you're asking us to determine the characteristics of the fan on this page.
On fans on this page.
I just showed you this page.
Yep.
That would be most efficient. Okay.
So we have the pictures on the fan on one side, and then we have A, B, C, D on the other side. So what I would like you to do is pick the best fan that you can find that'll move a lot of air and not use so much watts or electricity.
Okay, so we're not looking at the ceiling fans.
Not the ceiling fans.
Just the ones on the left
just
side.
on this side.
Okay, this is where they play the beat music, and we have our there it is, yeah. The three of us we're gonna
do the Larry
consult for a
Price
minute.
beat.
Yeah.
Do we win the fan if we get this right?
You become my fan. You're always my fan, right?
In my law firm, we had what we called the fan club, and if you worked late, when there wasn't any air conditioning in the building down the block here, we gave you a fan, and that was a great prestige in the firm.
So generous.
And anyone who had a fan was a part of the fan club.
Okay, so what's your suggestion?
All right, so now you're asking us to determine the fans that have the characteristics for moving most air around.
Yep.
On the same amount of energy.
And the most efficient one.
Most efficient one. Okay, can I suggest something? We're going to have this discussion among ourselves now, if you don't mind, Derek.
Okay.
Can I suggest, you guys, that it has to be a fan that's off the floor, low on the floor, wouldn't be any good. And it has to be, that's all I can think of. Oh, and one that moves.
I agree. I think oscillating is key.
Oscillating is good.
I'm sure something that sucks air through the window might be more. I haven't seen this. Derek did not brief me on this before he came over here, so I don't know.
Remember, folks, this is live, and these are our professionals of the state.
Embarrassed professionals.
Why don't we let the guests choose?
Okay, yeah, Brian, take care of it. Yeah.
All right.
Which one
If I have
moves
to
more air?
venture a guess, I will go with the one here on the bottom, the oscillating tower fan.
Yeah. By the way, that's my wife's favorite also.
Oh,
well, there you go.
Well, that was really good.
Yeah.
Not the best answer, but that was a really good answer. Actually, the best choice, the winner on this pretty simple contest, is going to be the standard basic desk fan. That's going to be the second one from the top below that big square fan.
Okay, this one over
That
here.
one
This
right
one.
there.
That one.
Okay,
Yeah.
that one moves a lot of air. I'm just going to give you some numbers so that you know. Out of all of these, that moves about 1,700 cubic feet of air per minute and only uses 70 watts of power. What's very surprising in here is the one below that. It's the black one, the darker one. It's a very popular one. It moves very little air, but uses a lot of power. That little fan at the high speed level uses 150 watts of power and only moves around about 100 CFMs or cubic feet of fans. So the secret to picking a fan is get the biggest blades that you can fit and afford. That's all. The blades make the biggest difference. It can move a lot of air, but the small little blades, like that little one there, it really just doesn't do too much air movement, but you pay for it in electricity. So that's the hint. Look for the big blade size.
Okay,
now,
let's explore this. Now, Brian shows, and actually I was with you on that, Brian, the oscillating fan, the tower fan, and I was only with him, by the way, because my wife has like 5 of them at home, and she must know about this. But why not that? Why not that?
That particular fan is made for a very small area, so you don't have a lot of space for big blades. So they made this tower fan. In fact, you have one right here.
Yes,
you
we
notice
do.
how it fits in this tight little space?
That was a gift of my wife, by the way.
But it doesn't push a lot of air out. I'm just going to give you, this is the manufacturer's, not us, on the manufacturer's spec, only about 710 cubic feet. Compared to the traditional desk fan, I know it's not pretty, it was 1,700 cubic feet.
Okay, and the tower fan, or the one on the pole down at the bottom, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blades,
Yes.
is not as good because it has small blades. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it does move a lot of air, but it uses a lot more power. So the one right above it, the desk fan, only 70 watts.
Yeah.
That big one on the stand,
Yeah.
114 watts.
Ah.
So we're looking to be the most efficient, still push a lot of air. Yeah.
And how about Ray's choice? Ray's choice was the double whammy in the window.
Ah, that's
What's
an
wrong with
interesting
that?
one.
Why can't we have that? Yeah.
That was meant to replace a window AC fan, so it's very tiny, the blades. And it's not there to cool you. What is there is to remove the hot air from your room. Very different. It's bringing down the temperature, but it's not designed to cool you off by blowing air on you. It's just designed as an exhaust mechanism. So that
very
fan,
important discussion.
That fan is all over the place. People sell that at Walmart. Oh, sorry, the bigger name box. They're all over the place. I see them all the time. Okay, I want to move this along because.
Okay, wait. Who wins now? Who gets money or something?
Well, actually, I think I do.
Okay, moving right along.
Let's talk a little bit about ceiling fans. We always say ceiling fan, ceiling fan, ceiling fan. And I want to show you a little bit about why Hawaii Energy does ceiling fan rebates for Energy Star. So let's compare just a little bit. You can see all of the popular fans that we find in all of the houses in Hawaii. But on each one of the boxes that a lot of people don't even realize are these 3 square boxes. They look just like this picture, and they tell a lot about the ceiling fan. What you want to see is the first one, which is how much air it moves, cubic feet. You notice the weakest one in here is 5,012, compared to the best one on the other page at 1,700. So you're moving a lot of air. Now look at the wattage. The highest watt uses on this is 60 watts. The least watts on here with the Energy Star Champion, only 11 watts. What that means to Hawaii is we can run that ceiling fan on all day long, and it's not going to cost us hardly anything for the whole year. These are very efficient fans. They'll move a lot of air. You'll feel cool. We always suggest them. But if you're in an apartment or a condo situation where putting a ceiling fan might be a little bit more challenging, then choose the best portable fan, table fan, desk fan that you can by the size of the blades. You'll make the best choice there. So this is a little lesson that we do in sharing of the aloha in the community side. We teach people how to make the best choices possible for their pocketbook. So again, this was a negawatt movement from Hawaii Energy.
Well, you're not finished.
I'm not
actually.
finished yet?
No.
Oh.
No, first I have a question, then we go to the serious cross-examination.
I see.
Very nice with these numbers here, and that's impressive, and it shows us a lot. But where can we see those numbers in the marketplace? If I go down to my favorite, hardware store, or Home Depot, or Lowe's, what have you, am I going to be able to find these numbers and make the same kind of analysis that you've been making?
On the ceiling fans, yes. There are those boxes, but no one knows what it is. When I go down there at Burley Careers, I watch people select the fan. They don't even know the boxes are there. Then I point it out. and I tell them what numbers to look for, the decision-making process shifts because they didn't realize that those numbers actually mean how much money they are going to spend over the lifetime of what they're going to purchase.
See, this is very important. Now, if I go on your website, hawaiienergy.com, I can get an analysis on this and learn more?
Actually, no. What we're doing is we're teaching this in the community through our Sharing the Aloha program. So the Sharing of the Aloha program is, we had the speaker, Helen Y, come through. She goes out to all the 5 islands that we service, and she teaches, she handholds the community to bring their level of understanding higher so they can make better choices. They can feel empowered on how they can control their energy bill. Once people start to feel empowered at home, they can start to feel empowered at the workplace. They can start supporting initiatives, like we're going to hear some great ones coming up from Mr. Kealoha here. And all of these things kind of interact with each other. And this is why we start off with basic, simple things that everybody loves. We love fans. The other thing we love is refrigerators.
But we're not going to talk about that.
No, we're not talking about refrigerators, but fans. So now you can see this. So on the box there, important things, Energy Star, Hawaii Energy gives a rebate. Come to visit us at hawaiienergy.com. It's a $40 rebate for an Energy Star ceiling fan.
Wow. Ooh, wow. Okay, cross-examination or rebuttal. Any additional points you'd like to make or demand?
Well, I would suggest that, Derek, try to get this up on the website soon.
So this is something, if you guys are interested in actually coming to the class, come to Hawaii Energy, go to the education component, and go ahead and click for the Sharing the Aloha, and you can come to one of those classes, or you can request. If you have a group of 25 or more, like a church group, an organization, or anything else, you can request having a presentation done for you. There's no cost, and an excellent presenter comes out and explains it in a way that you will really understand the information.
Speaking of excellent presenters, Derek, you are an excellent presenter. You're fabulous.
Well, thank you.
And you don't need Rob DeVeritoto sitting behind you.
She might be listening.
There's a shout out to Rob. Hi, Rob.
But gentlemen, have a great talk.
Okay, thanks. That's
Thank you,
Derek
Derek.
Sonoda from Hawaii Energy. Great presenter. Okay, so now I was going to say, can we get serious, but it's time for a break. So let's take a quick break, and we'll come right back.
All right.
And we'll talk to Brian Kealoha on OpTerra Energy Services and find out about all the things they are doing and thinking about. We'll be right back.
Hello, I'm Martin Despang, and I'm the host together with the one and only Ali Yamashita, and our show is called Urban Transcendence. And Urban Transcendence is about identifying where we have a unique situation of a vibrant city in one of the most beautiful natural environments. So how these two can coincide, sometimes conflict, how they could find reciprocity in the 21st century is what we're excited about. And we're planning on bringing in a diverse body of guests, both from the arts and the science and the established and the wise and the emerging generation. So hope you will join us. We'll always be on Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Thank you.
Okay, we're live, we're back, we're here. ThinkTech Hawaii on Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the state of clean energy, our flagship show. And today we're talking about a comprehensive approach to energy.
Right.
Okay, so this is going to be a 9-hour show, and we're just...
It's comprehensive.
Did you bring dinner?
It may be longer. I'm half Portuguese, so
With my co-host Ray Starling of Hawaii Energy and Brian Kealoha of OpTerra Energy Services. Okay, so let's first define our terms. What is OpTerra Energy Services, and why is it important that we know about that?
So OpTerra Energy Services is part of a group that purchased the original Chevron Energy Solutions group at the end of August. And so OpTerra was acquired by, or the old Chevron group was acquired by Oak Tree Capital. They're a $90 billion asset management firm. And part of their acquisition was really to take OpTerra and be able to grow it in the space of how can we help our customers and our clients and really the community around key issues that they're facing. And naturally, one of those is energy, but it goes beyond that when we look at how does energy play into economic development, how it plays into education. And so our firm is really focused on how can we help our clients and help our community address some of these issues that they're facing, as well as how can we help enhance the community that we're a part of. And I'm pretty excited about the change. I think really what we're going to see here going forward is a real focus on how do we address energy solutions here in Hawaii, both on the customer side of the meter, but also on the grid side. And I was hoping really today focus on the customer side, because we talk a lot about policy, and a lot of your guests talk about policy and what needs to be done at a macro level. But I think a lot of times businesses and homeowners and others really want to understand what can they do today and what could they possibly do in the future. And taking a comprehensive approach rather than piecemealing things together really provides an optimal solution for them.
What's your background that brought you to this place in life?
So my
if I can put it
background-
that way.
Well, I grew up, I was born and raised here in Hawaii. My background is in business, but I spent my entire career in the energy sector, working for Avista Utilities in Spokane, Washington, Pacific Gas and Electric, worked for Maui Electric for about 6 years, and then moved into the private sector where I felt like I could really make an impact on energy efficiency and renewable generation here in Hawaii.
So you mentioned clients. I mean, I'd like to explore the tension, if you will, between the common good things you were describing and the client things you're describing. So what kind of clients do you have, and what kinds of things do you do for them?
Well, probably our biggest focus right now in terms of our clients is the program with the Department of Education. And the program is called Kahe, and the name was put together from the Hawaiian Immersion program within the DOE. And Kahe has a couple of meanings. The first is to snare, and it comes from, if you know the legend of Maui and snaring the sun and capturing the sun for energy. So that was one meaning, but another meaning was also to absorb, like a knowledge or skill. So it had a great kind of pertinence to what the program with the DOE is. And it involves several different parts. The first is looking at, again, comprehensively, how can we better improve the learning environment for the schools and for the students and teachers that operate there. So we're looking at things that will, in terms of renewable energy, that can help reduce the amount that they pay and channel some of that savings back into the classroom. Energy efficiency measures that will also provide, for example, lighting is a great way to save on energy, but improved lighting also helps in the learning environment. So we've got a number of things around energy efficiency, but we're also on the cutting edge in looking at things that will enhance the ability to integrate more renewables for the Department of Education. So we're looking at technologies such as energy storage and developing microgrid solutions so that the DOE can be part of the solution when we look at this at a community level. I think a lot of times when we hear people who are frustrated about not being able to interconnect, a lot of times it's about me, it's about I. And when we look at the bigger challenges that our utility grid faces, there's responsibilities for the people who are installing these technologies to provide really the technologies and the emerging grid support and things that are necessary to facilitate additional renewable energy on the system. And so our program with the Department of Education does a lot on the building side of the house, but there's also a large component that we're working very closely with Hawaii Energy on that brings us into the classroom so that the students can have hands-on project-based learning opportunities of what's happening in their school and being able to tie that into the current Common Core standards around things like science, technology, engineering, and math, but getting real live data from PV systems and being able to use that and apply it into different lessons plans so that they can analyze and see that there's opportunities beyond just the installers that they may see on their campus, but obviously in the energy sector you need finance, you need business, you need engineers, you need project managers, construction managers, and give them the opportunity to see the different career pathways that there are.
So are you a private company, I mean, with a regular corporation?
We are.
Not a charitable organization or anything?
Correct, no,
So you're in there to make a profit?
Absolutely.
How do you actually do your business model?
So again, we think the beauty of our business and the area that we're in is there's wins every way that you cut this. So absolutely we'll be earning a profit as we do any of our services, but when you look at the bottom line of what the savings will produce for our clients on top of, again, some of the business impacts, the things that we'll be able to do to help the learning environment and help our students really are aligned in a common goal. So they're not misaligned in what we need to do.
So now, You know, the young fellow, the young handsome guy sitting next to you is also in the efficiency business.
Yes.
Maybe we can get a close-up on that. There he is. I knew he was there. Now, he's in the efficiency business. You're in the efficiency business. You have some alliance with Hawaii Energy. What is the nature of that? And, I mean, do you have areas of competition, areas of alliance, or is it all alliance?
Well,
Ray, why don't you answer
well,
that?
I think, you know, Hawaii Energy is here for the very purpose of encouraging energy efficiency in any way that we can. And of course, we don't do that ourselves. We work through contractors who come to us with ideas or come to us and say, you know, our client wants to do something on the energy efficiency side of things, and but they can't quite make it work in terms of the finances. What can Hawaii Energy do as a rebate program? And we have prescriptive rebates, we have special custom rebates, and for projects such as Brian's with the entire DOE, we sit down and talk with them about how can we help to make things happen that would not otherwise pencil out, so that at the end of the day you get a complete package, whereas some things might be more cost effective than others, but we help with the ones that are maybe not as cost effective. So we're not.
So it's
we're
leverage. You're giving Brian.
We're giving leverage
to do more of the good things, the common good.
Exactly, and as Brian said, you know, we're interested also in helping with the education part of what is going on. You heard Derek talk about. We have some great speakers. Helen Y. Is one of the favorites out there that goes out and talks to people really on a very non-technical level about the ways they can reduce their energy consumption. And those kinds of things we can start with, and then if the students want to get more technical and understand the systems that perhaps are being installed in the schools, then that can be, you know, the course 201 instead of 101 energy.
Well, I wanted to pursue one thing you said, Brian, and that is people in Hawaii see energy, clean energy, efficient energy as in their own self-interest. And they don't look at the common good. And we talk about that all the time. And I personally believe, and I think Ray agrees with me, that the only way we're going to get home on this is if we start looking at the common goods instead of kuleana. Okay, so how important is that to OpTerra, and how does OpTerra achieve that?
That's great. Where we look at this, I mean, obviously, when Hawaii is a very small community, right? And we've got a grid that has, like many parts of the country, is older, right? And so we have real challenges here. But being that we're all part of this community, we all have to make sacrifices, or we need to do things to, again, part of our kuleana is to make sure that things are looked at a much broader level. And I think that's where some of the challenges come from. Within OpTerra, I mean, our approach is always to look for collaborative ways to make things work and make things happen. I think a lot of our focus is on behind-the-meter strategies that right now are currently easily implemented. We talk a lot about the progress we made on the Hawaii Clean Energy Initiative, and where we are, as we know, 30% comes from energy efficiency. I mean, that's a big chunk that there's no opposition on doing this. When we think about renewable energy, again, at a customer-sited facility, if you've got a very inefficient facility and you're putting on renewable energy that is more expensive than cost-effective energy efficiency, you're wasting money, and that's not the best solution. So taking this comprehensive look to it and making sure that your structure is sound before you invest in renewable is a piece of that as well.
Okay, well, let's talk about some of the other things that you know, we were talking about before the show. Demand response. What is OpTerra doing in order to achieve a greater, what do we call it, technical sophistication on demand response?
So we're doing quite a bit in that space. One of the projects that we like to highlight in regards to kind of this complete solution, including demand response, is our project we did at Santa Rita Jail in Alameda County. And it's I believe the 4th largest jail across the country. And when we first started engaging with them, they had a real issue of not only were their energy costs high, but they had a security issue that when the grid power went down, it would take up to a couple of minutes for their backup generation to reach full capacity. If they have guards in places of that jail where they shouldn't be, or they don't have the emergency lighting and other power systems, it was a security issue.
Exposed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we came in after we had done some of the energy efficiency measures and said, well, what can we do to address it? And we found that energy storage was one component that could help with that, to provide that instantaneous ability to keep the jail running at all times. And then we expanded that. So now that we have an energy storage system, what else could we do? So we put on additional PV, almost 2 megawatts of PV. I believe it was about a 2 megawatt fuel cell, about 200 kW of wind turbines, and really started to make this a showcase with the Department of Energy, NREL, Sandia Labs. We're all partners in this to showcase where the benefits are beyond just energy. Integrated into that, obviously, is a component of demand response, because now with the energy storage system there, it can be dispatchable by the utility as well. And that was a key part of the program, was making sure that not only we had the energy security, but now we had a project that had a return on investment.
Yeah, that's great. That's well. Let me zero in on the storage part of that, because we are always with a capital A, always interested in storage. What did you use for storage?
I was going to ask the same question.
Well, in this instance,
I said we.
Yeah. In this instance, we used a battery. It was a lithium-ion battery. But again, I think when you look at our approach from a company perspective, we're technology agnostic. We don't have a particular solution. We try to understand what the best situation is. And in this case, when you needed a lot of the megawatt hour side of the battery rather than the capacity, it was geared towards a lithium-ion solution, and that's the direction that we went. It also allows the prison to do rate arbitrage with Pacific Gas and Electric's time of use rates. They can determine when's the best time to be buying from the grid and when's the best time to be self-generating as well.
So we'll come back in a minute. We can talk some more about exactly the dimensions of the storage system that you installed in the jail there. I mean, 2 hours, all night, 3 days, what? In a jail, if the power goes out in the community and you don't have a backup, problem. So anyway, we'll come back and discuss that with Brian Kealoha, OpTerra Energy Services, here, Ray Starling and me, on Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, talking about a comprehensive approach to energy. And this is a 6-hour program, but we're going to have another 15 minutes anyway. We'll be right back.
Aloha, my name is David Day, and I'm really interested in international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security, and that's why I host ThinkTech Global. I bring in guests from all over the world who know about these various issues in enormous depth and detail. Come learn with me every Thursday afternoon right here at 4 o'clock. I'll see you there.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We're here. I'm Jay Fidell. We're here on Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy at ThinkTech Talks on a given Wednesday, every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. We love talking about energy. Talking about a comprehensive approach to energy today with Brian Kealoha of OpTerra Energy Services and my co-host, Ray Starling. So we were talking about storage, and you had some pretty advanced batteries there that were installed in the jail, California. How long would they last? I mean, how advanced were they exactly?
So when we look at any particular situation solution, in the case of the jail, it was quite fortuitous that we were able to base load and use a fuel cell for 2 megawatts worth of energy, so that you weren't completely reliant upon the grid to be charging the battery, and you could provide the power to the jail even without using the battery should the grid go down. What was designed there was a 2 megawatt, 4 megawatt hour battery, so it had the ability, again, depending on what the load was at the jail, to keep the jail running for a number of hours, assuming the fuel cell is running. The solar would be running if it was a daytime when this were to happen. but making sure that we always could meet the base load of the jail at any given time.
Mm-hmm. Did it go as far as you wanted it to go, or were you limited by, you know, economic restraints?
Well, there was definitely economic constraints to this. You know, I think if all was better, you could potentially size a bigger battery. But the key part of this too is they do have backup generation, and so just providing some of the ability while the grid has gone down, that coverage of the key 2 to 3 minutes.
Got it.
That was a big piece of what we were trying to cover.
You know, you said, Brian, that you're technology agnostic, which I'd like to dwell on that for a minute. Because, you know, I mean, I think every right-thinking person has to be technology agnostic, you know, in the 21st century. But the question then is, how do you ultimately make your decision about what technology you're going to recommend? So tell us about the process, your process and OpTerra's process in identifying options, in making as we said, a comprehensive approach, and in selecting the option that will best suit the problem.
Sure, and I think that's where the opportunity really lies, is when you go into any customer facility and you take a look at things and develop really a master plan of what you want to do there. You do baselining, you understand what their loads are, understand what the opportunities are for savings. That's the first piece. You know, there isn't a silver bullet in any situation that we walk into, but taking that comprehensive look at things and being able to see how we can integrate systems that will drive optimization and efficiency is really how we go into that. Now, naturally, as we drill down in certain technologies, clearly there's solutions for certain things that are proven and at the time are what are standard, right? Lighting went from T12s to T8s, and now we're LEDs. So
you don't have to worry about that. Those are easy, right off the shelf, all fixed.
Right, exactly.
What are the hard ones?
Well, the hard ones are really when you're trying to match energy demand or usage with some type of energy production system, and particularly if you're integrating anything around storage. That's one challenge. And the other piece we touched on earlier, demand response. It's great to have the ability for the utility to have the ability to call on the customer and essentially drop load as needed. I mean, we witnessed that last week when the utility was calling and asking for people to conserve. A broader demand response program would have allowed them to shut off non-essential loads. But what are non-essential loads? If you shut off lights in a classroom, that's a problem. And so really defining what those solutions are that are going to not be too abrasive to the core business is really the hard part in all this.
Okay, now, hypothetical question. Suppose one morning you wake up and you get a call from the PUC, Hawaiian Electric, and the Hawaii Solar Energy Association, and a couple of influential members of the legislature. They're all on the phone. And they say, Brian, wake up. It's time for you to answer a question for us. Okay, and our collective question, we're going to rely on your answer, is how do we fix the interconnect problem? How many hours?
Yeah, I don't think we have that kind of time, Jay.
That's a good question.
It's a great question. I think that's the question we're all struggling to answer, right?
Yeah, maybe you have something.
Well, like I said, I think from our perspective, where we can have the most impact within what our company does is on the customer side. And what are the things that will mitigate interconnection of customer-sited generation systems so they're not negative to the utility grid? That in fact maybe provide support, frequency support, available load that can be drawn upon by the utility. You know, those are the answers that I think we can implement cost effectively today on the customer side. I think some of the bigger issues that the utility faces from a grid standpoint are obviously much more complex and require solutions that are, again, there's no silver bullet. It's going to be what's going to be the most cost-effective way to do that.
And part of it is, Brian hasn't touched on this, but the price signals that the utility gives for certain things that it needs to have done by the customer. Those price signals are critical to making it all work. I think if you get the price signals right, people will do the right thing, and they will be pushed in a certain direction. Some will be more resistive than others, but others will say, look, the price signal says I do this, and that will sort of help Brian make his mind up as to what things are best for his client. And you know, that's a process that's ongoing right now. Is the PUC looking at all of these issues, time of use rates and so forth. So I think it's getting better, but I think the price signals are going to be really critical to this.
So it's a pricing incentive to change conduct, you know, to follow a path
For the good of the
for the
whole
common
grid.
good, for the common good. Yeah.
Yep.
But let me just throw an apple on that for a minute. It costs money to do it, and the more sophisticated the solution, the more money it costs.
That's true.
You have to build that into the price
you,
incentive.
yeah, true. But you don't. What you want is something that gets to the most economical thing that can work. And so the pricing is going to determine that, and it's based on what the system needs. And it may vary, it may change from time to time. That's why you sometimes have real-time rates, which ultimately would be, the best way. That takes a lot more infrastructure than we've got right now to make happen, but it's doable in the future.
How do you get the public on board? I don't know why, but I remember the issue on Kauai when they wanted to install smart meters, and they took some kind of plebiscite about that, and people said, nah. Or maybe a lot of them didn't.
Well, there were a few people who opted out.
Yeah, opted out. Okay,
Not-
but
not
the rest
to have it,
opted in.
For various reasons. Right.
But I mean, on a common good basis, you'd want everybody to opt in because you can have a better, more efficient system that way. So query, how do you sell this whole idea of pricing incentives to the public? And how transparent do you want to be?
Yeah, but it gives them options that they don't have now. They buy the power regardless of the price. They have no choice. They have some minor choices now in terms of a time of use rate, but that's going to have to be worked on because the time of use rates are not as effective as they could be.
Yeah, and I think once those are improved, I was pleasantly surprised when we sat down and launched Kahe, and we were having discussion with a number of the teachers that would be involved with the program, and we were just dialoguing about energy. And we talked about time of use rates, and they were saying, oh, so you mean it would be just like a cell phone was in the early days where if I can set my dishwasher and they were looking for ways to reduce the bill. They just needed the mechanism to do that and the price points. And, people that aren't even in energy got it right away. So I think a lot of people will step up if the proper price signals are established.
And we've seen a number of technologies, even homegrown technologies that will, reduce your use at home or give you enough information so that you yourself will be motivated to reduce your use at home. And that kind of efficiency may be the biggest thing coming down the pike beyond anything else. Why? Because people have control. Because they find out soon enough they can save themselves a lot of money if they just attend to it. This is really big, and it goes to the whole question of transparency and opting people in. I mean, getting them to see that their participation would help. I don't know why, but I'm coming to the conclusion that that's a big part of going forward. I guess you feel the same way.
I do. I feel like people, if given the information and understand it, most people want to do the right thing.
So what are you doing about that?
Well, effectively, I think this is where the school project really creates a platform for this, is that as the reason why Hawaii Energy does education within schools is that's our next generation, right?
Yeah.
If we can teach them around what this is, beyond just the Kuleana piece, which I think they're learning anyway, is, okay, so what does that mean from an energy and a water and a sustainability perspective? And we teach them those habits and behaviors. That's what's going to lead us, I think, into the next wave of the future. I did a lot of work with schools in my time with the Vista up in Washington, and I was amazed to see how kids' behaviors change their parents' behaviors as well.
Yeah.
And really being able to have them be the energy police within their own homes, help cause change for the parents.
There's a play playing at the Honolulu Theater for Youth a couple of years ago, and I went down to film it, and these kids were, they were young. They were, I don't know, first grade, second grade, third grade, like that. And it was a play, it was a musical, and there was a lot of music and talking about sustainability and leading a clean life and not dirtying up the planet and all that. And walking out of the end of the play, this musical, they were singing the songs. All the kids were singing, because kids remember those things. They were singing the songs, and I said exactly what you're saying. I mean, that you have a long-term effect out of that. Those kids will remember. It'll become part of their daily lives. They'll be singing that song to their parents,
Right.
and maybe changing the way the family works. So it's not a matter of finding an 8-year-old kid and having to wait till he's 28. No, he goes home right now,
Right.
and he influences his parents, and then you have almost immediate effect. It's interesting how that works.
Exactly, exactly. And part of what we're trying to foster and create also within the schools are student competitions to be able to drive some of that behavioral type changes, and within each of the individual schools where teachers and students can potentially control their energy usage as well.
So where does OpTerra go from here? What's the next step? Give me a 5-year plan.
Well, a 5-year plan, clearly what you see here is really the convergence, right, within Hawaii in particular, of our high rates and great energy generation resources that are available. Really proliferation of that, not only within the state, but there's a number of island communities across the Pacific that are going to be in similar situations. So we've got a lot to tackle here first, but the challenges that we're facing has been noted by, I think, a number of the commissioners and the utilities. When they go to the mainland and they go to other places, there's no playbook for what's happening here in Hawaii. And so we hope to be a part of that. We hope to be a part of that solution and be able to apply some of these things not only here in Hawaii, but throughout the U.S.
How big are you?
We've got over 280 employees across 15 offices, and we operate in all the states.
And you have technical people.
We do, engineers, project managers, construction managers.
Outstanding. I'm reminded of something I heard on NPR today about how a group of representatives of many countries got together today, heads of state, whatnot, and decided that climate change was really a problem, and they all wanted to take action on it. I mean, it was like universal.
Yeah.
It was every country you can think of was involved. I say to myself, well, a few years ago there was resistance on that. People disagreed. They didn't want to, take it seriously. And now we have achieved a kind of universal feeling, a consensus, or better. So what happened here? Well, I think in large part it was a steady drumbeat of education. It taught the world in every country how important this was, and now it's turned, and now everybody's got the message. And I think that's what has to happen here. We got to get everybody on board here and make it common good. So Ray, this is actually your time now to summarize and draw whatever else you wish to draw from Brian Kealoha.
Well, obviously I know Brian, and we've worked together and talked together, especially about this great project they've got with the Department of Energy, or Department of Education rather. And basically, I think looking at things from the customer side is a great way to go, because the customer right now is feeling sort of left out of the equation. It's a take it or leave it, don't have much choice. What we want to do, and what Brian is doing, is trying to work with the customer to take that customer's situation and make the best deal they can of pulling all the pieces together. And I really think that may be the next step in forging ahead with the transformation that's got to take place with everybody, the utility and the customer side, so that we can get down that road and make that sea change, or whatever you want to call it, sooner rather than later here in Hawaii, so we can move on with things.
Okay, well, don't stop then. I think the message is clear. Keep going. Get bigger, better, and more comprehensive. That's the term for our show here. A comprehensive approach to energy. It's great to see that. Great to see what you do, Brian.
Great. Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much for coming down.
Sure. Appreciate the time.
Ray, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We always
Jay.
have fun.
Oh, good, good.
Okay, I think we're going to stop now, even though we didn't finish the 9 hours.
Okay. Good night, Jay.
Aloha, you guys. Good night, Chet. Good night, David.